Welcome, accounting boffins. You with Ashraf Patel and the team. Yes, we're busy with VAT, but we have a different spin on VAT today because we're looking at VAT with respect to ethics and internal control, right? Remember what we said? Any business must ensure that we have ethics and internal control. So therefore, let's take a look at this here. Ask yourself the question, why are business ethics important in accounting? And this is where we then refer you to what we call the King Code, right? What is the King Code all about? It explains to you about integrity, about transparency, and a whole lot of other factors. And this is where it shows that it is important for every business to make sure that they have ethics in place, right? But as we go on, you will see how this crops up very often in business. And yes, to do the ethical thing, to do the right thing, although nobody is watching you, is so important, not only in life, but in business as well. So, with respect to VAT now, we've spoken a lot about internal control and about input and your output VAT. Now remember, like I said, we're bringing in a different component with regards to VAT. That means these two components, where we talk about the ethics and we talk about the internal control, this is something that will feature in question papers in the exams. So what is important for you as a learner to remember is, other than the calculations of VAT, there are other aspects of VAT that you need to be au fait with. Okay. It is very important that there should be honesty and transparency in recording all transactions. Remember, as a VAT vendor, you are acting as an agent on behalf of SARS. Clearly you can see how important your role function is, because you're collecting money from the end user in the form of output VAT, and that money, obviously, after you've claimed your input, has to be paid over to SARS. You can see the element of honesty, transparency featuring when we're doing the section on VAT. For example, your VAT records to be made available to interested parties. Clearly, you can have a situation where SARS does an investigation into your business to ensure that you are compliant with your VAT returns, to ensure that you are doing what you are supposed to be doing, to ensure that the monies that you've collected after you've claimed your input are being paid over to SARS. Remember, we're talking about honesty and transparency. What are examples of unethical behavior? The business understates its sales to show a lower amount on the VAT form so that it will not pay so much to SARS. Clearly, this is unethical. This is actually fraud, and it is part of tax evasion. Meaning what? It says here, watch what this business is doing. The business understates its sales amount. That means it shows a lower amount for sales. Obviously, you know that when you are doing your calculations, and if you show a lesser amount for sales, it means therefore that the lesser output VAT there is. Because remember, your VAT rate of 15% is going to be calculated on your sales amount. So if you decrease your sales amount or you understate your sales amount, you are reducing the amount that is payable to SARS. Clearly, unethical behavior, and like I said, it is fraud, it is a crime. It is part of tax evasion. And what do we know? We know that tax evasion is illegal. Remember, punishable by law, it's a crime. You can serve jail time for it, and obviously fines could be imposed on the business. Another example would be claiming an amount of VAT when you are not entitled to it. Think about it. You're claiming input VAT on a particular expense which you are not entitled to claim. Remember, there are many ways in which people can try to defraud SARS. At the end of the day, if you engage in such activity, it would form part of tax evasion, and therefore, like I said, it's a crime and punishable in terms of the law. Let's look at another form of tax evasion, which we've said that it is illegal, right? Failure to pay over VAT is an offense. Remember, VAT is enacted by an act of parliament. It is something that the entire country is subjected to VAT. Because take yourself, when you go into a business and you buy an item which is not zero rated or exempted, you are paying the VAT to that VAT vendor. So the VAT vendor then has to pay that VAT that they've collected from you after they've claimed the input VAT. That amount needs to be paid over to SARS. So clearly you can see that if this is not the case, this would mean that this would form part of tax evasion. We said it is illegal. Tax evasion is illegal. And remember, it is a criminal offense, right? It is a criminal offense not to pay over the amounts that are due to SARS. Another, we're looking at all the items that would fall within the ambit of tax evasion or illegal transactions. For example, tax evasion, we've said, is illegal. Look at this example here. Charging VAT on exempt items is also fraudulent, right? So if a business, it has to ensure that when it has the cash register system, they must make provision for tax exempt items or zero rated items. So therefore, you as Joe consumer, when you get your till slip, make sure that any items that are zero rated, for example, we spoke about this in our previous lessons, milk, bread, etc. Make sure that there's no VAT charged on those items. Because if a business does that, obviously what you can clearly see, it is part of them being dishonest. It is illegal for them to charge you VAT on zero rated items. So in that case, if they are doing that, what are they doing? They're charging you VAT, but obviously they're not going to pay over that VAT to SARS because they would claim that this would be zero rated sales. So you, as a consumer, it is important that you check your till slip to make sure that no VAT is levied against zero rated items. Coming back to our point, what did we say? We said honesty, transparency. With regards to all transactions, not necessarily only VAT. Yes, we're dealing with VAT right now, but generally it is important in any business for them to have ethics in place, and this ethic means that we are honest and transparent in our dealings. So therefore, if we have to summarize this here, what would we say? Measures that a business needs to put into place to develop an ethical culture that guides the actions of all employees. It is so important. It is fundamental to success in any business that we are honest in our operations. Because remember, our honesty, our ethics is going to affect our consumers. It's going to impact on our consumers, and you will find that you as a consumer would always say, but that business always has excellent ethics in place. And obviously, this will then increase the goodwill of this business, meaning people will look up to this business and say, this is the business we would like to engage with. So, all of this would fall within the ambit of internal control as well. When we're talking about internal control, what are we saying? we're looking at safeguarding the assets of a business. Now, obviously, part of the assets of a business would be our bank amount, our stock amount, and all of these, as you can see, would in some way or the other be impacted if we operate unethically. Because remember, if we are caught out not to be submitting our returns to SARS, we're going to have negative publicity for the business. You're going to start losing consumers, and therefore the business will definitely suffer. So therefore, what we're saying is that make sure that we have all our ducks in a row when it comes to our returns for VAT and all matters relating to VAT. Okay, so in this segment of the lesson, basically what we have done is we've looked at all the ethical and internal control measures that are applicable when dealing with VAT. We gave you examples of unethical behavior, but I'm sure you want to know more about VAT, so the place to be is with us. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue with our lesson on VAT. See you just now.